Hey everybody! Today's video is about transforming this amazing little side table that I just picked up from our local recycle centre, and I'm going to transform it today using chalk paint into a shabby chic piece of art. I picked this up from the recycle centre for the mere price of $10, and I could definitely see the potential in it. So keep watching and I'll show you how I transform it. So today I'll be using chalk paint on my project. Now, for those people that don't know what chalk paint is, it isn't your chalk paint that you make a chalkboard with for your children. It's a decorative paint that is self-priming and it's suitable to go on most surfaces. If you're trying to create that beautiful distressed or antique-like look on your furniture, I highly recommend using chalk paint. Now, the brand I'm using today is Porter's Original Paints, and it's in the colour Lamb's Wool. So yes, we'll see how that turns out. Okay, so I'm just going to start off. Basically, I've just wiped this down with a clean cloth. There's no priming involved. I'm not going to sand it. It's basically just putting chalk paint over the entire piece. So let's get started. Now, there was a glass top on here. I've took the glass top off. Because I've actually discovered a beautiful way to add a French like decoupage picture at the top of the table, and I'll show you that further on throughout the video. So basically the paint just goes on so lovely. I think this is the great thing about chalk paint, is it's just, the consistency is just so nice and comes out really smooth. You know, I'm going to see how I go, but usually with chalk paint it's only one coat required, possibly two, but I'll just see how I go. And that is going on just so easily, as opposed to if you just paint it straight over with normal paint. Something that I'm noticing straight away with the chalk paint is that it dries quite quickly, which is a good thing. There's nothing worse than waiting for paint to dry. But it goes on really quick, and I can see in the strokes how quickly that it's drying, which is just lovely, and it feels really good as well. It's got a really nice rough texture to it, which is making the furniture just give that aged look, which is basically how they described it on the tin. It's going to give you that antique aged look that, if that's what you're going for, this is the type of paint that will do that. Okay, so I've done my first coat. I'm really impressed with how it has dried so quickly. It's really dried within seconds. I've decided to go with a second coat. I just feel that it needs the second coat, but I'm just really impressed with the chalk paint. I thoroughly recommend. So I'm just going to start on my second coat. It just goes on so smoothly. Just needed that second coat, I think. The thing I love about finding old pieces is the history in them. You know, where they've been, how long they've been in someone's family, how did they end up in somewhere like a recycle centre. And I take them home not only for restoration, but to bring some life back to a lot of history. And you'll be surprised at how much good stuff people throw out. You know, that's the fun thing about being somebody that likes to reinvent things, is coming across finds that you think, why do people throw those things out? Like, I suppose it's just a case of how much you can have in your home. Another thing about the chalk paint that I found is try to have as little on your brush as possible. It really soaks up that quick, and you really don't need that much. I will find that tin that I purchased really is going to go a long way for me. Okay guys, so here's my second coat. Really happy that I chose to do a second coat actually. First coat would have been fine, but the second coat just really brought out the depth of the colour of the paint. So I'm just going to wait for that to dry now, which obviously isn't going to take me very long because the drying time is wonderful on this chalk paint. So I'm now going to show you how I'm going to put a lovely decoupage French Paris script on the top. So I'll take you to the computer and show you how I do that. Okay guys, so now I'm going to show you this awesome little website I found. It's called thegraphicsfairy.com. Now it has, if you're into shabby chic and French country decorating, you would love this website. Not only does it have DIY tutorials on how to transfer these images to furniture, to fabric, it's just so cool, and there's over 4,000 free images for you to choose from. Now I am choosing the Paris one today, and I will show you what it looks like here when my computer goes nice and quick, which it's now choosing not to. Okay, here we go guys. So yeah, basically this is the image here. Now, because I'm transferring it onto the top of the table, you'll need to reverse the image. So in most of these, the Graphics Fairy has already done it for you. So see here, it's been reversed, and all I have to do is print that out to size. So I've already done that. So now I'll show you how I will get that onto the top of the table. Okay, so I've printed out my Paris print from the Graphics Fairy, and what I'm going to do now is basically just cut around it, and I'm going to show you how we're going to transfer it onto the table. Okay, so I've cut around it. Now what you're going to need is some Mod Podge. Now you can purchase Mod Podge from anywhere from Spotlight to any craft supply store, and it is a wonderful way of doing a decoupage piece where you can transfer items onto wood and they look so professional once finished. So let's get started. Okay, before I start transferring the Mod Podge onto the table, I'm actually just decided I'm going to sand first and give it that shabby chic look first. Before I transfer the Mod Podge, because it will have to dry overnight. So I'm just going to start off by lightly sanding with my sandpaper and just basically going around the edges. So you're basically going for that shabby, chippy type look. And it's just a case of rubbing where you feel you want the timber to shine through. Just wiping off the excess. Now I like mine to be quite distressed, so I'm basically going around the whole piece and just shoving it up where I feel needs it most. Okay, so I've just got that damp rag, and I'm going to go over and wipe the entire piece down just to get the excess dust off before I start working on the top. And I love how the detailing has come through. It's very shabby looking already. Just to give you an indication that's so far what the top's looking like. Okay, so I have my Mod Podge, which you can pick up from any craft supply store. I picked this one up from Spotlight. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to transfer that onto our printout. Now, remember what I said, that we printed this in reverse? So we're going to layer this entire piece with the Mod Podge over the top. So then when we actually stick it down onto the table, it'll obviously read out correctly the right side. Okay, so basically what you're doing is we are just going to completely cover this entire piece in Mod Podge. I've just placed some in a small mixing bowl, and it's quite sticky. It's very glue-like this, so just be careful not to just coat the entire piece with the Mod Podge. making sure you're getting the corners. And the thicker it goes on, the better, because obviously it'll stick down better. Being very gentle. It's quite easy, as you can see. If you be just that little bit too hard, you can move it up. Okay, so now we're going to go in and we're going to pop this onto the top of the table. Now make sure before positioning, make sure you position it correctly, before you put it down on the table, because if you get it wrong, this is where things can go wrong. So I'm going to go about there, making sure it's straight, and just with your fingers, just pop it on, especially the edges. Make sure you get the edges correct, and just pop it on, getting out any of the air bubbles that you may come across on the way, and popping it down. Okay, so there it is. The Mod Podge is doing its magic. So I'm actually going to leave this overnight for the best results, and tomorrow I'll come back with how I'm going to take this off and how it's going to be a French masterpiece. Stay tuned. Okay, so I've let it dry overnight. It is now ready for me to show you how I go about taking the paper off. So keep watching and I'll take you through step by step. So to start with, you're going to need a damp wet cloth, and just very slowly start to rub the damp cloth across the paper. Now, don't be too hard, just make sure you're coating it with lots of water, and you can see that the transfer is coming through. And slowly the paper will start to disappear. So just make sure you saturate it and go right over the transfer. So as you can see, it's just coming through. By just keep adding water and just keep rubbing back, and the letters will come through. You just have to be very careful, guys. It's always best to make sure that it's very wet, the rag, so that the paper will easily come off without the letters. So keep watching and I'll show you what it's like once I get all the paper off. Okay, so I've managed to get all the paper off. I'm really happy with how it came. I'm now just going to grab my Mod Podge again, and I'm just going to coat the entire top of the table and give it a coat of Mod Podge to act as a sealer. So keep watching. So here it is, guys. I have finished. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Sealing it with the Mod Podge certainly made it look really good. Really happy with how the Paris decoupage worked as well. And I've just popped on that glass tabletop that come with it, so that certainly made it look really good. Just goes to show, guys, that anything you may have lying around your house that you think you may need to throw out, it certainly doesn't need to be thrown out. You can just give it a new lease of life like I have done here.